The probability of the United States sliding into recession in 2022 is 40%. Beth Ann Bovino, the United States chief economist, states that economic momentum will likely protect the United States economy in 2022, and that it is hard for the state to go past 2023 without the storm. A Japanese company called Nomura, that offers a wide range of financial services, has pinpointed that India will have a GDP rise from 7.2% in 2022 before moving to 5.4% in 2023. In a research note released by the company, they have said that the persistent slight recession in the United States can negatively affect India's economy, which has been gradually returning to the time before the COVID pandemic. The company also states that the increase of rates by the Federal Reserve can also depress the investor spirit. Recession, in a literal term, is simply the act of receding or withdrawing, but the definition slightly differs from an economic point of view. A recession to an economist is a period characterized by negative real gross domestic product, a rise in prices, increased unemployment, which usually lasts for several months. There is no particularly standalone factor that can determine when an economy enters recession or is already in recession. However, the two major factors, negative GDP and number of periods, play an important role in determining when recession sets in. A depression, though related to a recession, is a long-lasting economic downturn in a state. An economic depression breeds more unemployment, difficulty in paying bills, and could last for several years. An economic depression is a catalyst to a strong negative real gross domestic product, fall in real income, crawling industrial production and retail sales, loss of spending ability on the consumer's part, and a very high rate of unemployment. A depression once threatened the whole world between 1929 and 1939, when the world recorded a great economic depression after a major fall in stock prices in the United States. During the years of Great Depression, industrial production dropped by 47%, gross domestic product took a downward trend by 30%, and the unemployment rate increased by 20%. As of today, 50 recessions have been penned down in the history of the world, from the copper panic that occurred in 1785 to the Great Recession experienced in 2008. In the early months of 2020, the United States recorded her 51st recession as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which lasted for about 2 months. The Great Recession occurred between 2007 and 2009, resulting in a 4.3% decline in gross domestic product and 9.5% increase in the unemployment rate. That year, the financial breakdown in the United States housing prices triggered a financial crisis in the global world. Now, you're probably thinking, the 2020 recession was not as impactful since it just lasted for 2 months. As true as that might sound, it is most definitely wrong. Having just a week when the unemployment rate increases with the prices of products getting higher will lead to all sorts of vices. You'll be surprised to be walking along the streets and have someone rob you of your wallet. Not because they have chosen to do so, but because due to unemployment, they have been conditioned to do so. So the history of recession over the past few years outlines that either increases in interest rates or some other fiscal policies, like higher taxes and lower government spending, are major players in the cause. It is obvious that sometimes recession is unavoidable in an economy that lacks proper and adequate maintenance. Hence, there is a need to always prepare for the worst-case scenario if eventually it does occur. Not only during pre-recession, but data also generally shows that few percent of humans take their preparedness for opportunities seriously. They always tend to wait for miracles. In other ways to set things right and prepare for rainy days during a recession, here are some tips on how to prepare for recession. Firstly, to prepare for a recession, you need to update your skills and resume. One of the major consequences of a recession is an increase in the unemployment rate. By 2025, pandemic-related economic problems and increasing artificial intelligence will cause 85 million jobs to be displaced across the world and 97 million new ones to be created. For workers who will maintain their jobs till 2025, the share of core skills that will change is 40%, and 50% of all employees will need to update their skills. Companies will reduce their workforce to meet their spending power and look for many ways to maximize profits. This will lead to survival of the fittest among employees, According to Charles Darwin's theory, only the employees who have developed the structure to adapt to the new conditions will be able to survive the storm. One sure way to have such a structure and survive this storm called recession is updating one's skills to match the required job, and also improving the resume by taking courses or having higher degrees prior to the onset of recession. Secondly, reduce expenses. When a recession finally begins, there is a 90% chance that there will be little or no money to cater for the rising challenges. Prices of commodities will increase, and there will be low purchasing power. Hence, it is good practice to cut down on all unnecessary expenses prior to the beginning of a recession. Reducing expenses could mean drawing a scale of preference and fulfilling the most important needs, and violating Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law, in a simple sense, is one that states that your expenses will grow to match your income. The interference is that savings might be very difficult if the law is not put into check. It is advisable to put a stop to the purchase of things that are not considered basic and important to add value to one's life. This is not only a conservative approach, but also a development approach that trains the mind to cultivate the good habit of saving for rainy days. Thirdly, increase your emergency or reserve funds. Now, let's look at a man with a family whose wife is pregnant. There are two ways your wife could deliver a baby: the normal means of delivery and the cesarean section. As a man, you are preparing for the worst case scenario, the cesarean section, which is definitely expensive and demanding compared to the normal means of delivery. The extra fund you're preparing for the cesarean section could be termed as an emergency. This emergency fund is a separate money, asset, or account set aside to offset any unimaginable or unpredictable future occurrences that may occur. Almost 40% of people who had emergency funds before March 2020 used them during the pandemic, according to research carried out by YouGov for Forbes advisors. Of everyone that used their emergency funds, 73.3% spent half or more of their savings. Increasing the reserve is one sure way of preparing for recession. In fact, it is a necessity to bulk up your reserves if you are going to cope with a recession. During a recession, there will be little or no means to bulk or save for an emergency. You will rely only on the previously saved treasure. While you are not expecting your fate in that line, you are still convinced that it may happen. Fourthly, pay down debt. Down debts are debts you must have owned for a long time, pending the unforeseen threat that is recession. Interest rates might take a running spree on the high during a recession. There might be no pace to keep up with debt settlement. The major concern will be maintaining the system and not particularly increasing it. When a recession looms, the wise decision is to settle as much debt as you can possibly offset. Offsetting debts during a recession is not only depressing but also suicidal. Recession can make you become unemployed. It may cut you away from your daily means of income and leave you in a horrible condition. If possible, settle all debt before a recession. And that is one of the ways of having peaceful days when a recession is finally here. Also, you have to stay invested. There is always the urge to leave an investment, especially during the bear market. Do not fret. Stay invested. There is always a saying, tough times don't last, only tough people do. The bear season might not always stay longer as predicted. It could just be a short term followed by a green bull market. Whatever the scenario, the best way to prepare for recession is to stay invested. One good strategy to cultivate investment is to look for companies with adequate and explicit financial statements that maintain a strong balance sheet and a convincing model. If you do not have an idea of how investment works, it is your duty to hire professionals. Investment bankers will provide you the adequate information and advise you on the best investment you can make. A recession could last for a month or two, but there is no rigid rule that it cannot lead to depression. Your investment could be the key to the rescue mission if it eventually does happen. You should buy enough food. An angry man is definitely a hungry man. Food and provisions for the family are absolutely essential. While waiting for a recession, they fill the food storage containers with an amount that could last for several months, even after a recession. This will cut unnecessary costs during a recession and will give room for your finances to breathe. As recession looms, prepare to fill the house with food and other commodities. It is one of the pointers that adequately shows that you are preparing for the coming recession. While enough ways have been given, the list is not limited and exhaustive. Preparing for recession also requires some innate or developed abilities like perseverance and contentment. It works with the mindset also. The mind is believed to be the greatest manufacturing industry. It manufactures anything you desire. To have proper preparation in order to prevent poor performance, a strong and resilient mindset is required. Finally, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. A recession is always followed by a good market recovery, characterized by positive real gross domestic product, increased employment rates, and other positive factors that affect the economy. If there is adequate policy control that prevents it from entering a depression, a recession doesn't last forever. It is only for a while. It is also important to note that a recession is relative and does not affect everyone in the same way. The way Mr. A will respond to the recession will differ from Mr. B's. Hence, planning according to one's needs and budget is the best practice. Proper preparation will not only prevent us from having our fingers burnt on projects, it will take us far more than we expected in life. Financial literacy will check our finances and give us a life that is rich and debt-free. It is a duty for all to be financially literate. Sticking to this channel will let you understand all you need to get on the train out of your financial struggles in just a click of a button, and the right platform to give you the knowledge that you seek. We promise to bring you more financial knowledge easily accessible to you. For now, kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel to get more informative content such as this. Till our next video, take care and stay safe.